And we are live. Hello, everybody. Happy Pride Day here in Toronto. It is Pride Day. We are not there, but there are about a million other people that are, at least a million, literally.
Yeah. I had a friend send a picture of what was going down there, and it was packed wall-to-wall people.
Yeah, so I trust everybody can see and hear us as per usual, and we'll give everybody a few more seconds or two to get.
We're spending it in our cool basement.
In our cool basement, yes, it's very warm here. It is
For us.
For us, it's 27 degrees C, and
it's
and there's a humidex too,
yeah,
so it's probably over 30 C.
It's 80. That's 80 degrees Fahrenheit. So
which we've had hotter.
Or we've had hotter, but it feels hot because we haven't had too many hot days.
No, we haven't. So it's the first of it. Anyways, so let's see who's here. Hello, Stephanie, and Persita is here. That's nice. Billy's here. Hi, Billy. Nadine is here. Bonsoir, Nadine. Beverly from North Carolina is here. I don't know if this is your first time, Beverly, or not. I can't remember. If it is, welcome. If it's not, thanks for coming again. And Derek's here. Hi, Derek. Yes, we are well, Derek. Hope you are too. Katie Crafts is here. Heidi is here with her cod beverage. Ooh, reminds me of the old days of Saturday Night Live when they used to do the Bassomatic, if any of you remember that. That's good.
I kind of already figured it was cold beverage.
Yeah, we figured that out, but cod, ooh, that would be disgusting. Shelly Clark is here. Jan's here. Hi, Jan. Nancy is here. Oops, what was that? Glenn is here. Suzanne is here. Donna. Sue Norfleet is here. Muggy and Hot, Missouri. Patsy is here. Andy's here. Hi, Andy. Jan says my favorite shirt's on. Yeah, the kitty one. Pamela's here. Glennis says it's from Hot O'Fallon, Missouri. 92 Fahrenheit. Woo, that's hot.
Hot for us.
Yep. Kristen is here from New York State.
I assume it's New York.
They have a new state. It's New York. I think some of you are drinking. Oh, M's here. Hi, M. Colleen is here.
Hi, Colleen.
Right. So we've got lots of people here, so we'll get started. Today's kind of a current affairs kind of a thing. Things that have been in the news lately. We thought we'd talk about those. But before we get to any of that, let's talk about what we've been working on very quickly. The Mirror quilt, or the possible sister-in-law quilt, the one that you've seen it already. I thought I might have had it quilted by now, but it's not. It's still sitting over on Lucy, waiting to be quilted. So I haven't done that, so I've got nothing to show for that. I do have the African fabric table runner done. This is the one I got the kit at the quilt show, and so it is now all done. It is quilted. I have alternating feathers going down it. Yeah, it turned out okay and everything. I kind of like it. I like the colors and everything. Am I sold on African fabrics? Not at the price, really. Yeah. They're okay for something a little different, but
I like the table runner. Looks nice. Mm-hmm.
And the only thing about that, and we talked about this on So Chatty, so I'm not going to go over it a lot again, but the kit was kind of a cheap kit, and I don't mean in what it cost me for the kit. I can't remember what I paid for the kit, but it only had 4 columns. That was it. The borders that you see on that, I added to it. That was not included in the kit, nor was it in the instructions for it, which I thought was kind of chintzy, because
Yeah.
it didn't look finished if you just left it the way they had it. It was basically, squares of African fabric stuck together. So I added the borders to it. The binding, actually, that's the same thing as I used on the back, is not African fabric, but it kind of looks like African fabric. That's why I used it for the backing of it. But I thought that was kind of chintzy in a kit that they didn't include like enough fabric so you, and even in the instructions, to make borders. I mean, I don't know. My verdict on this particular business is still out. I'm not really sure about them. That's Meerkat. So they're in Allura. I don't know. I mean, the fabric's nice. Too much work to prepare it, though.
Well, and it's expensive because it's what, 36 inches wide.
Yeah.
So a meter of that or a yard of that is not as doesn't have as much fabric in it as if you bought a meter or a yard,
like a regular meter,
of regular quilting cotton.
Yeah, with it. So to do a quilt in it, it's going to cost you. Now I am going to do a small quilt with it because I bought another kit from them as well. I haven't even taken it out of the package yet or looked at it, so that's on my list of
and if I were to use it like for a shirt, I'd have a hard time cutting it out because I usually cut if I use quilting cotton, I usually cut using the fabric folded.
Yeah.
Right, and I'm not sure, it may not have enough width for, let's say, one piece of fabric, or like I'll use a folded piece and half a width of cotton, I can do one sleeve.
Yeah.
Right, whereas I would need 2 widths of it to do a sleeve.
I just thought of something. I bought half meter cuts of fabric beyond the kits. And I measured one of those half meters, and it was 36 inches one way, 20 inches the other way. Okay.
She's giving you slightly more than half a meter one way.
One way, but the other way
is the width of the fabric.
Yeah, so the width of the fabric is 36 inches. Yeah, from salvage to salvage. Yeah, 36 inches. Whereas usually minimum is 40 inches. But of course, she did explain when I asked her about that, and we talked about it on So Chatty, she did say that that's how it's manufactured. That's how it comes on the bolt.
And actually, she does say on her website, she does say that it's 36 inches wide. So it's not like she's hiding.
No, she's not hiding anything with that. It's just that, like you said, it might make it very awkward if you're trying to make a garment out of it. Yeah. And if you're making a quilt, well, you're going to need more of it. So, yeah, and it's expensive at $23 a meter. It's expensive. So that, and I'm working on this. I was working on this yesterday for the pop-up sew day. This is an in the hoop table runner, Halloween one. I bought a pattern for this, and of course it's made up of all these different little pieces. I still have a few more pieces to go and then sew it all together. Right now it's just the individual pieces. I think it'll be kind of fun. I'm thinking of possibly giving it to my sister. She's into Halloween. She likes Halloween, so I thought maybe I'll give it to her or keep it for myself. I don't know yet. We'll wait and see. So that's what I've been working on, and let's just see what everybody's talking about right now before
what I've been working on.
Well, what I was going to say before we look at what you are working on. Patience. So just backing up here. Let's see. What's okay? Stephanie says it's 30 degrees C where she is, but she's got a nice breeze off the lake. Is there any breeze today here? Not really.
I didn't notice very much.
I like to open up the doors when there is a breeze. I don't like having the air conditioning on all the time because air gets stale. 98 in Mississippi. Okay, not going there. Faith is here. Hi, Faith. when you go to Stephanie's retreat, will you be videoing your trip for all of us? Of course, I will be videotaping. And I hope to do some lives while I'm there. It depends on the technology. Again, you know, the connection and all that kind of stuff. So, yes, I will definitely be doing videos. Nancy Labature is here. Thanks, Patsy. Billy says the table runner looks like your sister's colors. Yeah, I think you mean my sister-in-law. Yeah, but it'd be too busy for her. There's too much pattern, you know, kind of a thing. Shirley's here. Hi, Shirley. Yeah, I think now actually the borders though were made from African fabric for that table runner, but they were from those half meters that I bought there as well. I just drew from them. Inez is here.
No,
Andy says.
No, I don't.
What?
I don't match patterns up at the seam. All I do is I match patterns on the pocket. Matching patterns at the seam probably would take up too much time
And more fabric.
And more fabric because you have to depending on how often the pattern repeats. So I don't bother with that. Tough.
Yeah, tough. And
if it's a special short that you kind of need to do that with, I might do it. Like, you know, if you had a stripe or something that went across, or a specific stripe or something, maybe I tried to do it, but I don't really try to do that.
No. Well, you lazy bugger. Really. Inez says, have you lost interest in the mirror quilt because you sound like me when I see something new? No, I haven't lost interest in it. It's just that I haven't had a chance to get it on Lucy and to quilt it. I'm hoping to do that next week with it. I had intended to do it before the weekend, but I decided to do that table runner. I put that on Lucy and I quilted it. And normally I don't necessarily take things like placemats and table runners and do them on Lucy unless I've got several of them. Because, I mean, when you're laying out a table runner, I mean, you've got batting, you've got backing, and you've got to have a lot more and that. And it's kind of, you know, you spend more time setting it up than actually doing the quilting. So sometimes I will just do it on my domestic. But in this case, I want to use feathers, and I can't do feathers on my domestic at all. Okay, I had to have the computer do it. So that's why I put it on that. And by the time I got that done, and then I've been working on some other things too, I thought, okay, I'll just leave it. I would have probably, if I hadn't done the pop-up sew day on Saturday, I probably would have done it then. But I can't very well have run the pop-up sew day and have to go into another room to work on Lucy. So yeah, I'll do it sometime next week. I'll get it up there and going. Kristen says, still working on my hexagon quilt, only 23 years and counting. Yeah, good luck with that, Kristen. I have no desire to do a hexagon quilt. Because if you're talking about, I don't know if you're talking about English paper piecing, but if that's the kind of hexagons you're doing, yeah, have no patience for that, and that's a lot of hand sewing. Jan says, I love your runner. I saw your Halloween runner on Sweet Pea or Juju and thinking, I wonder if you had it, and you do. Yeah, I got it from Juju. It was on sale. It was 50% off. That's one reason why I bought it. Philippa is here. Good to see you. Currently 8C here, nice and chilly. The Halloween blocks are fabulous. Where are you, Philippa? 8C, that's not warm, not cold, but it's not really warm. Jeannie's here. Hi, Jeannie. And Wendy's here. And Teresa's here. Missed out on yesterday. My current sewing project is in portable, so my machine and I are on site sewing a new sunshade for a sailboat. Oh, okay. Right. Well, we missed you, Teresa. Your presence was noted, or your absence, I should say, was noted. Okay, so Walter went to, okay, we had the pop-up so day yesterday. I think we almost had a record number yesterday. At the height of it, I think we had about 34, 35 bodies on there, and that was great. Considering that, we're moving into summer, at least for most of us, warmer weather, people want to be outside. Although yesterday it was like pouring here for most of the day. But that was nice to have everybody there. Meanwhile, Walter was off to his in-person sew day with his
Yeah, what
sewing
happened
class.
was originally they had said that it was going to be June 17th. And I wrote back and said I couldn't attend because that was the day we were coming back from out east. So and we wouldn't be home in time, nor not. And
Well, we were
also,
actually on the road.
yeah, we were on the road. So Steve said at the time, well, okay, well, originally the date was going to be the 24th, and then they said they were going to move it to the 17th. And then Steve says, oh, good, the 24th is open, so then I can have a pop-up sew day. So, and he sent out a message to everybody that there was going to be a pop-up sew day on the 24th. In the meantime, a little time passed by, and they sent out another message that said, no, they couldn't do it the 17th, that it will be on the 24th. Well, then I wrote back and I said, well, I'll be there, but Steve's not going to be able to come. So,
And, quite frankly, I think what I'm going to do now is I asked Walter when they're planning the next one. And you said you thought it was the 15th of July.
well, no, he said it was either going to be the 15th through the 22nd,
Oh.
but he hadn't decided
Okay,
yet.
because what I'm thinking is just going to coordinate my pop-up sew days with the days he has those on, because to be honest, I don't really, it's a big pain in the butt for me to take all
is.
my stuff to this place. There's only like, if I go, there's 4 of
Well,
us.
there was, well, if you include Brendan, there was 4 of us yesterday. So,
And
well, and he had a couple other people join
Yeah.
for something else. So.
and those people that joined in, I don't want to see anyways. 'Cause
Yeah, actually,
I
one
don't
of
like
one
them.
of the people that came later on is somebody that I'd rather not talk to. So,
Yeah.
and I tried to ignore them, but they did briefly talk to me.
And people who do nothing but sew garments are boring, really. They're just not like us quilt people.
Well, it is interesting when they're bedazzling pink,
Pink
3
jackets.
pink jean jackets.
Yeah, for drag queens. Okay. I would rather hang out with my people here on the Zoom. So I'm thinking, so the next pop-up sew day will be mid-July, but I'm not going to commit to a date yet because I don't know. I'll wait until I see what they plan and what scheduling's like for me and everything, and then we'll plan it. So there'll be another one in July at some point in time. Actually, if they have that on July 15th, that's our wedding anniversary.
Yeah, well, and that's the day after your birthday.
That is why it should be. Well, I should have it on the 15th. It'll be Steven's birthday pop-up.
Mhm.
Yeah, I mean, after all, we did a couple of other people's birthdays on here. I might as well do my own. Well, we'll see. No, but I'm not committing to that date yet. I was just looking. Philippa says she's in Brisbane, Australia.
Oh, okay.
So we've been there. We love Brisbane. Yes, we love Australia. All things Australia. And that's right. You're in the winter. Yeah, although your winter's nothing like our winter, but nevertheless.
Yeah, 8C would be warm for us.
Yeah, but I'm sure for Australians, 8C is cold because you're used to something a lot warmer. Lucy's here. Hi, Lucy. Ron's here. Oh, Ron, he's so dreamy. Got it in before he got it in. That laundry basket quilt is hell. Remind me not to get in that one. Oh, the one by, what's her name that I can't say her name? Edina or Adeta, whatever. The Dutchy girl. Yeah. Yeah, we were talking about that on the pop-up show sew day. Her patterns, I mean, her designs are nice, but her patterns are written in a very difficult manner. And I think it was Stephanie said that there's easier ways to get the same result. The laundry basket quilts girl there, she doesn't seem to write them that way. So, I mean, they're not badly written patterns. It's just that they're complicated.
Yeah, Ron, now it's 23 at your place when
Oh yeah, well,
yeah,
we're not there
no,
anymore.
we're not there.
Yeah. Oh, Dana's here. Hi, Dana. Um, what's Jan said? Jan, sides that we put you in a good goofy mood. Sides that. I think she meant besides that we put you in a good goofy mood. Yeah, I'm always goofy, Jan. Almost as goofy as you. So 23 for where Ron is. And yeah, I agree with you, Ron, on that. Teresa says it's 27 here in London, Ontario, and very humid. Yeah, so it's about the same here, Teresa. Marie, hello, Marie. Oh, Hawaii. Uh, yeah, what can you say about Hawaii? It's Hawaii. Yeah, I'm sure it's very warm there. Kathy's here. Hi, Kathy. Going to the Lancaster, PA quilt shops this week. Super excited. So, Kathy, is that like a shop hop kind of a deal, or
Is that the place that they don't have any tax or something?
I don't
I
know.
don't know.
I don't know. That would be okay if they didn't. Um, Jenna is here. Hi from Texas. Hello, Jenna. Um, okay, so Walter wants to show you what he was working on yesterday.
Yeah,
and
well,
his
so anyway,
photo.
besides talking a lot to the other people that were there, which was taking a fair bit of my time, I did manage to start another shirt and match a pocket.
For me.
So I've got up to the sleeves now,
Ooh.
and that's
Oh, it's a white
that's it.
beater. Yeah, okay.
Yeah, where'd my pocket go?
I don't know.
That's my pocket.
Is your pocket matching?
Mhm.
Ooh, it's invisible. Walter's famous trademark invisible pockets. See, it's
That's,
kitties. I'm wearing
Yeah, it's
the first kitty one he
a
made me.
kitty one. Lots of kitties.
It's not my usual color palette, but
No, but
I'll look good in it anyways.
I think it looks nice.
Yes, it does. It looks very nice. I'm going to love it. Get it done. Get it done. I want to wear it before the summer's gone. With it.
I'll get it done.
Yeah, get it. Yeah, just get it done. Get it done. Steph says that sounds funny, Kathy. That sounds fun. I got reading right. Colleen says, has anyone tried Zen chic patterns? I bought one and tossed it aside until I can be bothered getting a huge roll of sellotape. I've never heard of them. Have you heard of them?
No.
Zen chic? No.
Yeah. So it must be a PDF pattern.
Yeah. Oh, yeah, okay. Derek says, my colleague was in a foul mood this week and as her quilt wasn't working out, ranting about the quilt from hell. Guess whose pattern she was using, Stavis Road? Oh, you are kidding. See, people, it's not just me, okay? This just proves. Thank you, Derek, for sharing that because, yes, her patterns suck. Do you happen to know, Derek, which one she's doing? Everybody's loving the shirt. And Andy says it's crazy. Love the fabric. Yeah, it's fun, isn't it? Wendy says it's very nice, Walter. And Heidi, it's very humid here. I was in the garden this morning until I realized that my eyelids were sweating. Okay. Mary's here. Hi, Mary. Oh, Heidi, I think I mentioned it the other day, but when we were down in the East Coast and we met up with Heidi, because she lives down there in New Brunswick, she gave us a jar, a little jar. I would have liked a gallon of it. It's okay. It's okay. It was a taster. Heidi gave us a jar of her homemade wild strawberry jam. It is really good. Did you have some of it this morning?
No, actually, I don't think I did.
Well, you should have. I had more.
I didn't realize it was hers.
Yeah. Well, what? Did you think I made it?
No, I know. I wasn't thinking.
Yeah. But anyways, it's delicious. So I have a pact with Heidi. I'm on her mailing list for jams. She makes them. She's got one she was talking about the other day, a ginger pear one. That sounds like fun. So yeah, but it really, really good. I loved it. Just backing up here. I said hello to Mary. Colleen and Kathy say they like your shirt. Yes. What pocket? It is invisible. Yeah, he matches them up. This one has an invisible pocket too. Can you?
I have it on here too.
Can you see my invisible pocket? No, you can't because it's invisible. I think that's one of the best parts of the shirts. Is the invisible pocket.
It takes a little while to do it. And actually, I wasn't sure if I could do it on that shirt because I realized I must have only bought, they must have not had full 3 meters on the bolt.
Oh.
So I only bought 2.5. And I just barely squeezed the shirt out of that.
Okay, don't make any mistakes.
Well, if I make a mistake, you might have black sleeves.
Well, it might not be too bad either.
Yeah.
Black sleeve. If you made a long sleeve, I could have black sleeves and red cuffs.
If I'm gonna screw up something, it'll be the sleeve.
Yeah.
So
well, don't screw it up. All right. But yeah, I have to have a pocket in my shirt because that's where I have to put my glasses. So I don't buy any shirt. Well, I don't buy shirts anymore.
yeah, pockets can be optional. I don't put 2 on because one's hard enough.
Yeah.
The second one.
Actually, I don't like the look of a shirt with 2 pockets because then it looks like you're, someplace to put your boobs. I don't know about that. You get to a certain age for men.
I know a lot of people don't like to put pockets on because they consider them useless. But actually, I kind of like them sometimes. I don't use them that often, though.
Persida says, nice shirt. It will look good on you, Stephen. Of course. Of course it will.
It'll be a little more formal looking.
A little more formal. Yeah. We'll make matching shorts. Yeah. No, I draw the line at matching shorts. Philippa says, Walter's very clever, very stylish fabric for that shirt. Actually, I don't know. Did you find that fabric or did I point it out?
Oh, I found it. Actually, I remember where I bought it. I bought it at Ye Old Quilt Shop.
That's right. Yeah, I remember that now. The one in Stratford.
Yeah.
Yeah. Mona's here. Good afternoon from Tucson. It's how you say it, isn't it? Tucson. Yeah.
Actually, what I would have really liked is that kitty fabric that you used on that bag that you made for me.
Yeah. I don't think I have any more of that.
No, I've looked for it. I can't find it.
You've been right in my shelves, have you? Okay.
No. I've looked for it online.
It was Timeless Treasures, I think.
Yeah, I know, but they don't have any
figures. It's 101, Mona says, where she's at. Oh, Brenda's here. Hi, Brenda. And you're still working on your pot holders, are you, Brenda? Well, can you ever have too many pot holders?
Looks like a cowboy.
What looks like a cowboy?
I don't know. Lucy.
Oh wait, you're jumping here. I'm trying to get out. Marchan is here. Hello, Marchan, and Catherine is here. Better late than never. Had to finish binding a quilt. Okay. Jan says, Steve, do you have any shame? Jam packed. Not sure what that means. No, I don't have any shame. So move on. Colleen says, Heidi, jams travel well in bubble wrap. S&W will have to send you a roll. Yeah. Shelly says, I've done a couple of LB quilts. So longs. What's LB quilts? They turned out good, but the added YouTube tutorials of construction wasn't difficult. Okay, I don't know who LB is. Derek says, I think the pattern was called Take Flight. She bought it when she was back over visiting her family in Ohio. She said the pattern giving her chest pains. I think I know that one. I definitely haven't tried it, but I think I remember that's one of her ones, I think, before I did the first quilt from hell. That was one of her patterns with it. And
well, actually, the lady that owns the sewing store here that we go to all the time, Ultimate Sewing, she said when you mentioned Patty's patchwork, she says she won't carry her patterns because she's had too many complaints.
She had too many customers come in and complain about them the whole bit, so she won't carry them at all. Heidi says I have to start picking the wild strawberries for the new batch of jam. Not everyone's a connoisseur like you, Stephen. Yeah.
Well, that's what she means. She looks like a cowboy if you have 2 pockets.
Oh, yeah. Actually, you're right. That's probably one. I hate those shirts with the pearl, the snaps, and the buttons. I had those when I was a teenager because they were all the rage at that point in time. But they used to call them rape shirts. The girls would come up and they slap their hand across your chest, and then all the buttons would like they would all pop over because they were snaps.
I had one shirt that had snaps on it, and the snaps were so tight that I think you would have ripped the shirt if you tried to.
Oh, well, maybe you should have bought a bigger shirt. Oh, you mean the snap parts were too snap to get apart? Oh, yeah.
I just had a hard time undoing them.
Beverly's laundry basket. Oh, okay. Yep. Yeah. That's her name. Ed.
Oh, Albie.
Yeah. Edita.
Edita.
Edita Setar. Yeah. Oh, getting ahead of the game for Christmas. Good idea, Brenda, with the pot holders. Yeah. So, anyways, that's what we have been up to. So, what's coming up this week? Well, of course, we have Sew with Stephanie and Stephen, as usual, Wednesday morning at 9 a.m. We had, I don't know if she's on here. Who was that? Someone came on. I'm up pretty early in the morning, and usually on the Wednesdays when I'm up that early, I will get everything set up. But I don't expect somebody to be there at 7 o'clock. Well, somebody was there at 7 o'clock, so let them in. They were from out west, and they got the time zones thing a little mixed up. And they actually got up a little early on purpose to be there on time. And I said, well, you can go and have a lay down for another hour or so with that. So, yeah. Kay says, oh my gosh, I can go with Stephanie and Stevens this week. I love summer vacation. Oh, okay, that'll be great, Kay. It'll be good to see you. And I am making a special appearance on The Guy Who Sews next Saturday morning at 8 o'clock a.m. Eastern Time because it's Canada Day. Next Saturday, July the 1st, is Canada Day. For you Americans, well, you probably know this, or well, I can never assume Americans know things. I have found out. Yeah, that's the same as sort of your July the 4th, only ours is on July the 1st. We're first, we're before you, haha. So I'm on there with Sean, and because I'm the only Canadian he knows, he said, and he thought he should have a Canadian on July the 1st with it. So that's great. I've been on Sean's show before. I always have a lot of fun when I'm on there. So I have some special things planned while I'm there. Sean doesn't even know what those are yet. So, well, Walter and I went out this afternoon today and bought a few, let's just call them props, okay, for the occasion. If you want to know what I'm talking about, you'll have to tune in. You can catch it on the replay too, because Sean always has a replay afterwards. So I'm looking forward to that. Sean's one of my favorite people, because Sean's Australian. And you know how I like all things Australian, including the people. So, yeah. Oh, Mona says, okay, it was me. That's right. Oh, poor Mona. Nancy says, you're going to be with Sean. Stephen. Yes, I am. Well, via Zoom, of course. I'm not actually going to be in the same physical space with that. Okay, so those are things coming up. Advanced notice, Craft and Chat will be July the 5th. So not next week, the week after, because that'll be the first Wednesday. And that's always on a Wednesday as well, the first Wednesday of every month. So
so it'll be like Wednesday morning with Stephanie and Wednesday afternoon with you.
You know, I'm really starting to think, I got to talk to Stephanie about this. I'm really starting to think, since we do sewing with Stephanie and Stephen every Wednesday, when Craft and Chat comes up, that was only the first Wednesday every month. Well, it's just the two just run together. But what happens is we have to shut down sewing with Stephanie and Stephen, pick it up an hour later, like sort of stop for lunch, and then it's Craft and Chat. And I'm thinking, since we're doing this on a regular basis, maybe I should just forget about doing Craft and Chat, because usually sewing with Stephanie and Stephen anyways, it'll often run the whole day. So, yeah, I don't know. I have to think about that and talk it over with Stephanie and see what we think about that.
No, we haven't met Sean in person. We've only met him via internet.
By internet. I interviewed Sean back about a year or so ago. And just after he only had his channel at that point for a couple of months or so. And then Sean graciously agreed to do a presentation for the last retreat. And we talk back and forth all the time. And I always catch his live if I can on a Saturday morning. And I always watch his stuff and he watches my stuff. And so, yeah. And of course, he was on Stephanie's on Saturday as well. We got a little bit of a threesome going here. Stephanie, Sean, and me. Sometimes we throw in Adam. So, whatever. Yeah, the YouTube community is a bit incestuous, I have found. Really. But yeah, I love Sean. In a purely bro kind of way, okay? Just clarify that. Where did I leave off? Lucy says, do you like things British? Yes, I do.
Yeah, I do like British. We've been to London many times.
Many times. We love London. And we love British television shows. We love the humor.
Well, see, there's a lot of Canadian humor that aligns with
British humor. Yeah.
And yeah, we like British humor.
Yeah, we do. But yeah, we do like things British. My nephew was...
I mean, the best TV shows in Britain are remade in American shows.
And they're never as good as the British ones. Because the Americans tend to
clean it up
a little bit more. Right now we're watching a British series on it's on Netflix or on Disney? No, it's on Disney. Called The Full Monty. Now, a few years ago, quite a few years ago, 24 years ago or 25 years ago, they did a movie called The Full Monty, which is a bunch of these guys get together and decide to put on a strip show where they take everything off, and I forget what the plot was all about, but it was quite funny. Well, now they're doing a television series, and actually I quite like it. It's got some serious parts in it too, as well as mixed with the humor. But it's quite good. I quite like it.
Yeah, we've been to Oxford. That was many years ago.
Yeah, many years ago when we were in
Oxford. We always say that. I mean, we end up going to London, but we always say that we should travel around a bit more.
Yeah. Like get a car and go to spots that we've never really been.
Yeah.
Because the very first time we ever went to Britain, we were on a bus trip, and it took us through, Britain to Scotland and back basically to London. And, those bus trips, well, we were a lot younger when we did those. So
yeah. And then we've stayed in London because we took a European tour one time. Then we stayed in London for a few days when we took a cruise from Britain a few years ago.
Yeah.
And then one year we just said, why don't we just take a week or 10 days and just go to London and travel around London for a few days. I mean, the only problem with going to London is hotels are expensive. But
yeah, but the one thing about London is there is so much to see, so much to do. Like the museums are great. I love the Victoria and Albert Museum. I like the Natural History Museum that's there. We went to the art galleries when we were there. And London is, I think, is a fairly walkable city.
Yeah.
But also, you can get anywhere in London on the tube. Yeah. I mean, God, here in Canada, I always think any British that come to Toronto and figure they're going to get here and there on public transit, on the subway, are probably really shocked at how shitty it is. Because
the last couple of times we were in London, we stayed near the Earl's Court subway stop.
Yeah.
So,
what people say here? Philippa says, I will definitely staying up to watch you on Sean's. I'm an Australian Canadian. Does this mean you might like me double? Sure.
Yeah, and actually, the last time we were in London, we decided to take a day trip to Paris.
Yeah, we did we did the high speed train thing through the Channel.
We left there early in the morning, came back later in the evening.
Yep. Derek says, Sean always strikes me as a very creative and interesting person from his videos, amazing creations. Yeah, and he does a lot. I don't know how he keeps up. He and Stephanie both. It's like, I don't know how they do what they do. Keep up with it all. Stephanie gets to meet Sean in July. Is that at the, he mentioned it. It's a quilt show in, is it Raleigh? I don't know if I've got that right. I may not. You can tell me what it is. Lou says, we have better humor than USA. Yeah. But you see, there's less censorship of what can be said on the air in Great Britain than there is.
Well,
the
and
states are heavily censored.
Yeah, and there's that's probably why streaming platforms are popular, because they can be a little bit more more open.
Yeah. Anna says, how can they make a series with the full Monty? The full Monty was one night only. Well, what they've done is they've extended it into their lives.
Yeah, it's 24 years later, and they're revisiting each of the people in their lives and what's happening with them.
In fact,
So
they've only made one or two references in the series so far as watching it to that actual movie, The Full Monty. So yeah, it's much more.
Actually, I'm finding it. The first one of the series took a little while to get into. I wasn't sure about it, but actually, as we've been watching it, I've gotten more into it. It's kind of interesting.
Yeah, Janet says the first time I watched you all, you were in London showing the thing you had gotten in. Showing the thing you had gotten in. There. You had gotten in there. Oh,
was it the Ferris wheel?
No, I think she's talking about what we bought.
What we have purchased.
Yeah, whatever, which I don't even
But
remember.
actually, that was in the days that you did scrapbooking.
That's when I was paper
it's been a while
crafter,
since we've been to London. So
yeah, there was a neat little craft store right close to the British Museum that we went in that had some neat things in there. But I don't do that anymore. Heidi says, I love the Full Monty movie too. They were all unemployed and thinking to earn some money by dancing. But Morris. Yeah. Yeah, that's right. That's how the plot went. Stephanie says, no, Sean's coming to Ohio to visit for a day while Amanda visits her friend in Pittsburgh. Oh, well, that'd be nice. That'd be a lot of fun. Heidi says Morris dancing was too old-fashioned, so they decided to be like Chippendales, but showed the Full Monty. Yeah, that's right. They had that. I'd have to rewatch the movie because I have forgotten a lot about it. But anyways, the TV series is pretty good. With that, yeah. So we had a good time on the pop-up sew day. I'm trying to think. Yes, there was some enabling going on. Thank you, Jan, very much. With that, she always enables me. Like, oh, here, see, check this, look for this, and find that. So yeah, I did. I didn't really buy anything too extensive. I bought a little embroidery design that is a cat or is a gnome dressed up like a cat for Halloween. I thought that was cute. Okay, so anyways, of course, you know, today is, well, you may not know, here it's Toronto Pride. And as we said earlier, we saw a picture from a friend of ours. Sent us a picture because he's down there at it. And it's just wall to wall people. In fact, I think I can probably show you the picture he sent. That's just one street corner. All the people. And that is Yonge Street. And Yonge Street is the longest street in Canada. And it goes right through the middle of downtown Toronto. It's where all the businesses are, the stores and everything. And that crowd you see there, that will go for blocks and blocks and blocks and blocks.
And the parade runs several hours, so.
Yeah, several hours long. And it's just a zoo. It's just a complete zoo. And people are pushing baby carriages and that around. and everybody comes out seeing that sluts and perverts, as I call it. It's just, if you suffer from claustrophobia like I do, it's not a good place to be, for one thing. The other thing is people are shoving, and I remember one year we went and they have barriers all the way along the street on both sides to keep people from actually away from the parade itself, like
Yeah, and it's like 10, 15 deep, standing on the side of the roads. And then there's people that are really pushy and they're trying to shove in front of you.
yeah. And I hate to say it, but the Asians do not know the meaning of the word no. We went one year and we decided we were going to get really good spot. To get a really good spot, you had to be there in the morning, many hours before the parade starts. And so we were right up against one of those barriers. We had our spot. We were there. It was hot, but we were determined. Because otherwise, it's 10, 12, 15 people deep, and you're not going to see anything, right? So we were there. Just before the parade starts, in came these Asians. And I'm sorry if this sounds racist. It's not. It's the fact. This is what it was. Came right in and started shoving their way in front of us.
Because they wanted to take pictures, and they were like really pushing us over.
And then they pretend they don't understand English.
Yeah.
You know, when you say, and I go, excuse me. And so, and they still push in. So guess what I did?
Push back.
I pushed back. And I pushed back pretty firmly. I mean, I went like this to this chick that was standing next to me. And she kind of looked at me and then she backed off, because I'm sure the look on my face was, as I say, don't fuck with me, English teacher, high school teacher look in that. And that'll kill anybody.
So we just said, it's just not worth it.
Yeah.
And it used to be that they had information booths and stuff like that for different organizations, and they probably still do. But then they started getting very, very commercial. So everybody that's trying to make a buck is out having a stand somewhere and trying to make some money.
Yeah.
There. So it is too much of a zoo for me.
I'm not sure if it's the largest pride parade.
It's as large. I think the only other one that sort of matches it is New York City.
New York City.
And they're around, the one in Toronto is about the same size as the New York City one. One year one's bigger than the other, and the other year the other one's bigger than the other. So
yeah. Andy says it reminds me of the streets look like during Taste of Chicago. Yeah, I've never seen Taste of Chicago, but yeah, it's just too many people. They say that, I think, I haven't heard what they predicted this year, but last year their prediction estimate was 1.5 million people on the streets watching. That's not counting the people in the parade, and there's a lot of people in the parade.
There's thousands of people in the parade.
So yeah, and I would imagine this year is probably even bigger, because this is the first year since we've kind of got out of COVID where people can really do what they used to do with it all. So I think it's a humongous party, and there's drunks. But here's the amazing thing about the Toronto Pride Parade. In all the time that they have had it, there has never been one incident of like violence, in terms of like gun violence or anything like that. There's another big event that happens in the long weekend here in August. It's the Caribbean Festival, they call it. I think they call it that now. It used to be called Caravana, but then they changed it. There's always somebody gets shot in that one, guaranteed. With that, every time. Now, the police presence is always very high at any of these events as well.
Yeah, because there's always somebody that's
drunk or
disorderly,
or you're always going to, with a crowd that big, you're going to get your yahoos, right?
I mean, they have had problems at the Pride Parade too, but it's not as.
But it's not.
It's usually drunk.
It's usually somebody just having too much of a party thing, going on. Kathy says, I don't want to be in crowds like that anymore either. I did go to Mardi Gras in New Orleans with my sister twice when we were younger. Not anymore. Yeah, I wouldn't go to Mardi Gras. No. I've been to New Orleans, but not for Mardi Gras. And I mean, on a regular
And you know, it's
basically
crazy because it's so busy in downtown Toronto that you can't get into a restaurant. You can't get into anything because there's too many people there, and it's just not worth going.
They block off one whole street, like for blocks and blocks and blocks, that runs parallel to the parade route for the whole weekend. And they have beer gardens set up there. There's vendors there. There's food things and all this kind of stuff. And it is just a sea of people walking up and down that. I mean,
and then even in the beer gardens, there's standing room only, and it's packed wall to wall people.
Yeah.
You know, we used to have a friend that would go to the beer garden, but you'd walk in the beer garden and there was like a bunch of people standing in concrete on wall to wall, and it's on a hot day, you're burning up.
Yeah, so it's a young person's thing, I think. What really I resent, though, is all of the breeders, as we call them, straight people, who show up with their children, small children, in strollers, okay? And they're trying to push them through these crowds. What are they thinking? I mean, there's a kid in a stroller down at the knee height of most of these people that are there. All that kids must be suffocating. And when it's hot and the whole bit, what are these people thinking? Really? Bringing kids to something like this. And I mean, the kids are going to be exposed to, not that kids probably care, and obviously the parents don't care either, but you know, the costumes can be a little bit, let's just say,
revealing,
gimpy and revealing,
especially on a hot day.
And you know, really the parade is not PG rated either.
But I suppose it really doesn't matter.
I guess not. I mean, they must know what they're getting into, but it's just the crowd. How can
I mean, there isn't anybody actually having sex.
Well,
outside,
no. Well, I wasn't even going there, but you brought it up. Like,
yeah,
geez,
wow.
well, you know where your mind is, like, real.
I mean, so like guys have their shirts off, they're still wearing pants and stuff, and
well, not the TNT boys.
Not the TNT. There's a group of guys that every year
should have their pants on.
Go naked in the parade, and they're not supposed to because it's against the law, but. I think the cops turn a blind eye to it.
Yeah.
So
and
they're also ones that you don't want to see naked.
Yeah, really. They're called the Totally Naked Toronto or something.
Yeah.
They're kind of, what do they call them? They're nudists kind of a deal.
Naturists
or whatever the term is for it. Yeah, when you talk about letting it all hang out, well, these boys take it literally, and they shouldn't really do that. That's not good. But there are ladies there not wearing their tops as well. And actually,
it's legal in Canada for you not to.
Well, it's legal in Ontario.
Yeah.
I don't know if it's that's not across Canada. That was Ontario. They made it legal many years ago that women could go topless. Now, most ladies do not go topless in the streets of Toronto. You know, if they want
technically they can.
Yeah, but they can. It's not against the law. But most of them are saving it for the beach, I'm sure. But of course, the lesbians and others they take this as an opportunity to
show off.
There you go. And I don't know. I'm not really a prude, but is it necessary? What's that really?
Well, I guess they sort of argue that if guys can do it,
I guess. Well, I don't really necessarily agree with the guys that are wearing basically just a pair of very short briefs on floats and things like that during the parade. I mean, that gives a very bad impression of what gay life is all about. But whatever, they do it anyway, so apparently it draws crowds to see that kind of thing. So there you go. Lucy says, do you mean Indian or further east? No, I mean Chinese.
Asian.
Yeah,
well, I don't know, like they'd be, yeah. It's hard to tell where they're from.
I mean, let's face it. If you've traveled at all, and you're at a picturesque site somewhere, someplace famous or something, and in come the buses, all the Asian people come out, they've all got their cameras, and right then and there, you better take your pictures quick because you are not going to get another opportunity if you're on a time schedule, because they will be right there. They will butt in front of you. They ignore you completely, and away they go. And I'm sorry, but they really do.
I have a very good Asian friend, and she says the same thing.
Yeah. So, I'm not being racist or prejudiced about it. I am giving you an honest observation of what has happened many times. And that's what happens at the Pride Parade as well. You basically have to fight for your territory,
And actually, the lady that I know, that Asian lady that I know, also warned me about Asian crowds on some cruise trips that we're going on, depending on if you end up going into an area that, like when we did the Singapore to Hong Kong cruise, she said they will be very aggressive at the buffets.
Yeah, well, I don't think we ever had a problem that way that I can think of.
I remember there was a problem. Somebody was saying that they were taking all
the fruit
off the buffets.
They were loading up before they got onto one of the bus trips off the cruise ship, and they were loading up from the buffet with all the fruit and everything like that. And there was one, it was Australia, I think.
Yeah,
when we went
they were
cruise for that.
They were no, that was I think the Singapore to Hong Kong one or something. Because in Australia they can't take stuff off.
I know, but they still tried.
Yeah.
And they were being searched.
Yeah.
For it on the ship. Everybody was. Yeah. Because they told you can't, because Australia has very strict laws about that. Yeah. Yeah. Okay. Well, don't be cutting me off then.
Kristen Loster said that crowd is estimated at 1.8 million in Toronto.
Holy crap.
We've been there when it's a million.
Yeah.
So 1.8 million is pretty big.
Wow. Okay. Glad we're not there.
All this talk. Yet another reason I prefer horses and dogs to people.
Yeah. Very true. Derek says, I was at the European Pipe Bank Championships yesterday in a local public park, and we left as it was getting so busy, even in such a large public space. Hundreds of marching pipers, let alone the public. Oh, God. Kill me now, because I'm assuming when you say pipers, you mean bagpipes. Oh, no. I'd rather put up with nails on a chalkboard constantly than that. I'm not a fan of the bagpipes. Sorry. No, crowd estimated at 1.8 million, not 8 million.
I said 1.8.
You said 8 million.
No, I didn't. I said 1.8 million.
Want to replay it?
You want to get the shit out of your...
No, you want to get the shit out of your face? Put it there. Anyway, Andy says, oh yeah, let's talk about that. What are you looking up?
I'm looking at Pride crowd size. If I won't spell the stupid thing right.
But anyways, yep. Big parties this weekend. We'll bet we're not part of it. So be it. Okay, what are the things in the news? So, what are you thinking about that whole submarine thing down to the Titanic? It's kind of a sad story, but on the other hand, you kind of figure, okay, stupid idiots, because people were saying that thing they were going down in wasn't really safe and hadn't been tested
It hadn't been certified.
Hadn't been certified for that level and the whole bit. But boy, and okay, it's a tragedy, it's a horrible thing. People lost their lives in that and everything, but they were all paying $250,000 to, go to a watery grave, so to speak. And on top of it all the money that was spent, I wonder who's paying for the search and rescue efforts that went in there. I hope it's our government our military was involved in part of that as well.
I know. So you've got this thing going down that's unsafe. Something massive happens, and something like this explodes or whatever. They couldn't find them or whatever, and they do a search and rescue. And who's paying for all that?
Yeah, out of it all. So it kind of affects a lot of the other people too. Like if our Canadian government, by way of the military or something, is funding part of that bill, that means my tax dollars are funding part of that bill for a stupid
A
mindless stunt. Yeah, really. So that's enough to piss you off. Okay, Lucy confirmed. You said 1.8.
Yeah.
Thank you, Lucy, for taking his side. I don't like you anymore, Lucy. I'll forgive you. Maybe.
And he says they're already talking about lawsuits.
Oh, yeah, but who? Okay, so lawsuits. All right, who's suing who? Because the CEO was one of the ones that got, killed in all of this as well. So this company, I mean, I guess they could sue the company. I guess it would be
Obviously,
families.
the company had gotten the revenue for that. So
yeah. So, but I guess the families couldn't sue because they signed, supposedly, in one news report I heard, everybody that was taking this signed a waiver saying they realized there was a risk involved.
yeah, and that this was an experimental.
Yeah. So I guess the families of those people probably wouldn't be able to sue. So I guess it would have to be the military or whatever suing the company to recover costs of the search and rescue. Yeah, who knows how long that'll be tied up in the courts. The only people that are going to win anything on that is going to be the lawyers that are involved. Yeah, Beverly, exactly. You cannot fix stupid. There is no need to go and search. Search, you dear water. Underwater. Yeah, they're really, yeah.
And then Cheryl says at least no one died or got hurt trying to rescue them.
Yeah, that would have been even worse. Right there, okay? I mean, these people are stupid. I don't want to say they deserve to die, because that doesn't sound very nice, but really they were putting themselves at tremendous risk. Don't catch me in a steel tube going underwater.
And yeah, I mean, Kathy Patterson says, I thought that too. The millions spent on that project and fees to ride could have been spent in so many other ways to help so many people, and that is true.
Yeah. But isn't that the way of a whole lot of things in our world? You know, I often say...
selfish rich people.
Yeah. The money that they have spent for stupid things could have been money used to, like, house the homeless, feed the people who need to be fed, and all that kind of stuff. I mean, that's the way I feel about the money that we are sending, our country is sending overseas, you know, to help out the Ukrainians. Like, how much more money are we going to throw down that hole? We have people struggling in our own country that, you know, we should be looking after our own people first, really, with this. And then, you know, if we got any extra, you know, distribute it out there where else it's needed. But no, our government doesn't see it that way for whatever reason. And Heidi says a waiver is only as good as the lawyer who challenges it. Very true. Andy said, wonder if there was a mention of non-certification in the indemnity clause.
Apparently, I read somewhere, and I don't know, I didn't see it, but that basically they said that that this was an experimental sub, and I don't know if it had non-certification or not in it. But
no, scrunchians. Countries don't provide rescue services for free. In the sense that they're not handing them a bill afterwards, but they have to pay the military personnel that are involved. They have to pay for the deployment of equipment and all that kind of stuff. Where's that money coming from? Well, if it's from in Canada, if it's through our military, that money is funded by our tax dollars. So yeah,
we, the little people, are paying for that.
There's no such thing as free.
There's nothing in this world is free.
No. Yeah, Lucy, space missions. Yeah. How much have we gained from space missions over the years, you know, the whole bit? You know, I mean, it is technology. We're trying to do the Star Trek thing. But really, we have people who are starving and are living on the streets, you know, all over the world. Not just in our countries.
Apparently, Derek says, apparently that kid that went on the sub that died also didn't really want to go, but he was doing it for his dad.
Yeah, he was doing it for his dad. Yeah, you're right. You know, he went to university in Scotland, and such a sad waste of a young life who apparently only went on the sub. Yeah, father. Yeah, I know, really. What a
nice Father's Day present.
Yeah, really.
$500,000.
Yeah. And scrunching from the taxpayer. Yes, I know. Yeah, exactly. But they don't do it for nothing. Okay? They've got to recover the funds. And that's where we were talking about the lawyers and stuff like that, because they got to try anyways for that kind of thing. I don't think that's in the national budget for things like this. Marilyn says, like those folks going on, Elon Musk SpaceX. Yeah, of course. Yeah, I guess very much the same thing. Yeah. Andy says, why are the little people paying for the search service and rich people don't pay equivalent taxes? Exactly, Andy. Yep. Well, the rich get richer, the poor get poorer. And speaking of that, the homeless business here in Canada, we have, in Toronto especially, we have a really bad problem with homeless people. And how I got thinking about this the other day. Right now, they're running an election on tomorrow. There's an election in Toronto for a new mayor, because the old mayor kind of resigned because he was having an affair with somebody
somebody that he hired.
That's somebody that he hired and all kinds of stuff. There are over 200 names on the ballot for mayor for Toronto. That in itself is ridiculous. There's even a dog. Someone registered a dog. Actually, if people were smart, they'd vote for the dog, because it would probably do more than these other idiots that are running. So the top 5 or 6 they've been focusing on, because that's really where it'll come down to, because they're the only ones that had the money to be able to put into campaigns and things like that. I mean, I think it only costs you about $200 to register to run, but the other costs come in, television commercials and things like that. So anyways, the top 5 or 6, and I'm so sick of listening to them, they have all these pie in the sky, like all politician things, on what they're going to do if they get in. And one of them is about handling the homeless problem. Here's the solution from some of them. We will build more affordable housing.
What's affordable?
Yeah, what's affordable to somebody who doesn't have an income? The only thing they can afford is free. And they're not going to get it for free, because this government is not just going to hand them over property. But even worse is, why aren't these people working? Well, there's problems. There's mental problems. There's problems with their emotional well-being and things like that that have maybe put them in the situation they find themselves in. So what did the politicians say? We're going to put more money into mental health support services. We're going to hire more social workers. How is that going to help somebody who's living on the streets unless that person wants the help? If they don't want the help, how's that going to work? I really think when I got thinking about this, I don't think it's a solution to homelessness. Not in the way our society is run today, or what we, how we handle things like this. It's a self-defeating kind of thing, because these people if they want help, they need to seek help. But you can't help somebody who doesn't want to be helped. So it just perpetuates itself in the whole bit. But these politicians are saying, oh, they have the solution. And it's the same old. Affordable housing.
Well, not only that, the ones that are running for mayor don't have ultimate say.
No.
In what gets spent.
They have a council. They have to present their ideas to council. It has to be voted on. And they're not going to get everybody on board with any of this stuff. Toronto's a broken city, a very badly broken city. They are in debt. They just compound more debt upon more debt. Some of these politicians are talking about they're attacking each other right now, and they're saying, well, such and such, they're going to raise your taxes. And one said, I will not raise taxes. Where's the money going to come from?
And they can't really say that because they're not in that position yet. So.
No. So I pity the people in Toronto. Also, on top of it all, on most municipal elections in Ontario anyways, anywhere, the turnout for voting is very, very low. Like less than 50% of the population votes at them. I think they said in the last Toronto election for mayor, there was less than 40% of the population turned out to vote. So with over 200 names on the ballot, with all this pie in the sky promises and that, I bet you there'll be even less of a turnout to vote, because everybody goes, it's the same old crap. No, it doesn't matter who you vote for. It's not going to make any difference. They don't know what they're doing. Why bother? Why putting myself out there to vote? And so the people that will get in power are being put in to power by their friends, colleagues, who are all probably part of the 1%, 2% of the economic scale as for money. So, so homeless people, you have no chance of getting any support with this election. Not that I think that they're probably even hoping for it with it. But the way we treat the homeless is horrible. The way the politicians treat them. They go in and they break up their tent cities and the whole bit. Where are they supposed to live? And then they say, well, we have lots of shelters. We'll make more shelters. Well, they've interviewed homeless people and say, well, why don't you want to go to a shelter? And they say, because I might be dead in the morning. My stuff gets stolen. People fight. The conditions are horrible. They say, I'd rather take my chances living on the streets, even when the winter comes, than go into a shelter. So that tells you something too, right? So I don't know what the solution is, but no one seems to have a solution for this kind of thing. Kathy says, and politicians never explain exactly where they will get the money to fund their campaign promises. No, well, we know that politicians are all corrupt at any level. There's no such thing as an honest politician. There can't be. Look at if there is an honest politician, they don't last. They either become corrupted or they just get right out of the whole thing. Derek says, I've started to think we should maybe start teaching mental health, first aid, and resilience in schools, given the massive scope of the problems these days. Well, what they did in the Ontario curriculum a few years ago, back when I was teaching, actually quite a few years ago, they decided to teach life skills to kids. Like things like how to write a check, how to balance your bank account, how to, like, practical everyday things that people need to know in order to survive day-to-day world. And guess how successful that was? They were teaching it at the grade 10 level. 15-year-olds, 14, 15-year-olds. They didn't pay attention. I used to go in when a teacher was away, when they got rid of supply teachers in our area, I would have an on-call period where I would get assigned to go in and babysit a class. And many times I ended up babysitting one of those classes, and it was ridiculous. It was just a zoo. The kids weren't going to do any of the work. They had a lovely textbook for this. Oh, you want to talk about making something that's already kind of boring even more dry, and you expect kids to tap into that? No. And the Ontario government's been putting these things in to education all along in different formats. But obviously it's not working, because I dare say that my nephew and niece, who are adults, I don't know how good they would be with some of these life skills, especially when they still live at home with their parents. And, they've got, parents who are still kind of looking after them. If they have a problem, well, they can fall back on their parents. So I don't know if you can teach people independence and that. So, compound that with some mental health issues. That's not good. Not a good scenario at all. And speaking of Ontario curriculum, they just announced they're going to bring back cursive writing, teaching it. They haven't been teaching cursive writing for quite a few years now. So we have a whole generation of people who can't read cursive or don't know how to write cursive, because they're very good with their thumbs, though, on their keyboard.
And I'm not sure how important that is, but
I'm not sure either.
I think it's the old fuddy-duddy. Conservative government has decided they're going to bring back cursive writing.
Yeah, and how's that going to make life any better? Because let's face it, everybody has a keyboard somewhere. We got them in our pockets. We've got them all over our house. Everything is run that way. So I don't know. I mean, I think this is a political move to appease a certain segment of society here in Ontario with it. I mean, yeah, we all learned it.
You need to learn how to sign your name.
Yeah, well,
but even that's sort of one.
They need to learn how to spell their name. Derek can probably attest to this. You know, I'm not making a joke. I had kids spell their own name wrong on papers in high school, at the grade 12 level, bound for university. I mean, it was rare, but it happened. So on more than one occasion, you can imagine how I handled that.
Yeah, actually, I was at, I brought my car in before we went away to have my brakes looked at just to make sure everything was still okay. And there was a student there, and he wrote down the work order. But when he wrote down the work order, and he wrote it down by hand, right? It wasn't in cursive, obviously. It was printed, but it was horribly printed. It was printed like I would think if it was a kid that's in grade school and just learning how to print letters.
Yeah,
it was awful.
Well, he obviously never had
He's never had to do that.
No, because remember when we were in elementary school, you had the lines, and you had to, learn to write between the lines, and part of the letter went below the line, part of the letter was above the line, and all that kind of stuff. And I had terrible handwriting when I was in school, even though I'd taken those classes. And my handwriting today is, I can't read it because I use a keyboard. And I would never send anything to anybody handwritten. In fact, if I send a card to somebody, I'll go on my keyboard and type what I want to say or whatever on and print it out and paste it inside the card. That's how bad my handwriting is, all right? But so imagine, and I learned. I mean, I can read cursive, okay? I mean, I put a capital Q in cursive on my whiteboard one time in a high school class, and I didn't think anything of it. And a kid asked me, "What was that? What's that?"
Actually, what's funny is if you travel through the Terminal 1 airport, in Terminal 1 in Toronto Pearson Airport, our international airport, they have near the baggage pickup, they have where to go written in script neon lights. And I said, well, what kid's going to be able to read that?
Yeah. That, I mean, yes, cursive writing and reading cursive is definitely a dying art. And I don't think putting it back in the curriculum is going to change that, because the kids have keyboards. At the moment that they first, before they're even in school, they can keyboard. They, kindergarten kids are now, kind of a thing. Of course, they don't even learn how to keyboard properly like we did, because they can do it their way, the fingers. So,
Yeah, and Colleen suggests there, says, are they going to start teaching them how to read analog dials?
Yeah, they didn't say anything about that. That's true. But, again, do they need to? Technology has gone digital. And, we can read analog. We can look at a clock and we see numbers on it and we know what time it is. But the kids can't. But then if they've got a smartwatch, they can set it up for digital. Mine's a digital. I prefer digital.
Yeah, Derek says that they're having a faculty fight about whether to return to handwritten exams.
Oh my God.
I guess with
oh
AI,
yeah, true.
with the AI stuff, I guess you'd.
But I pity the instructors trying to read those.
Yeah.
But
ChatGPT is driving most of these arguments about written exams.
Yep, I could see that. That's for sure. Yep. Stephanie says my kids only have analog watches and the older two write cursive.
Good.
Yeah, good. At least they're learning a skill that, They may not have to use it that often, but they might have to use it someday. That'll put them ahead of the race, probably. But, it's like anything. I think we're in a transitional time where we will move another few years. There will not be analog items like clocks. If you find one, it's vintage. Okay. They'll be saying people used to actually be able to tell time with one of these, like a sundial.
Teresa says calling kids don't know how to read digital clocks. They only think in digital. If I say a quarter after 2, he has no idea. If I say 2:15, he's okay.
Yep, that's true. Cursive writing improves visual and motor skills. Yes, to a point. But motor skills are also with keyboarding, fine motor skills, especially little teeny keyboards, okay? And
they get motor skills from playing video games.
And I also think they can get visual skills. They can pick those up from other things as well. I think it's a losing battle for any of us that might be thinking that cursive writing is a good thing. It needs to be back in the school curriculum and analog and all that kind of stuff. We're dying out. It's not going to change. It's not going to go back to that at all, because computer technology is what computer technology is. It's in place. The moment they're born, when they pop out, they're keyboarding. They're using a joystick, the whole thing. And I think it's a losing battle. We can't go, if you want to call it backwards. I don't know if we should call it going backwards, but I just think it's something. It's when the rest of us are off the face of the planet, our age groups, that'll be the end of that. And think about it. This isn't anything new in history. Think about how technology has changed society through the millennium. Okay? We don't go into a war carrying a spear. Okay? Not when you've got a submachine gun. Okay? Or an Uzi. Okay? We don't ride into town on our horse to go shopping. We have cars. Okay? How many of us know how to ride a horse? Okay? So, you put it all together like that, that's probably the way of analog and cursive too. So we'll find out how that all works out. And as is taking handwritten notes improves memory. Yes, it does. So does taking notes, period.
Like if you do notes, if you take notes on a computer and just type them all out, that improves
memory too. But here's the kicker. Kids in school don't take notes. I used to teach note-taking skills. It was part of the curriculum at one point for high school. It's not anymore at all, because no, they just don't. And it is easier, not better, but it was easier for me to hand out things. Here, read this. Here, read this. The whole bit. And yeah, I definitely think that that's something that's not good, but that's the way it is. So it's not really a question of note taking improves memory. Note taking can improve memory, yes, but it doesn't necessarily have to be in cursive. It can be in whatever form the note taking should take. The problem is they don't take notes. So that, that's a problem there. Derek says, it's these arguments about student skills assessment that make me want to retire early as a professor now and become a full-time crafter. Yeah, Derek, I know how you feel. I am so glad I'm retired, because with this AI business and all this other stuff we've been talking about, yeah, I don't know how I would survive as a teacher today. Nothing sinks in better than having to write notes to keep up with a teacher's lessons. Yes, Teresa, you're absolutely right. What I'm telling you, from my experience as a teacher, they don't do it. And come hell or high water, They don't want to learn how to do it. You can take, you can take a course to water, but you can't make it drink. And it doesn't matter what you try in education. And you're up against a brick wall because all the technology that's there at their fingertips, and right or wrong, the kids are going to say, I don't need that. I can do this. I have this. This is it. Why bother? Why do I need to learn cursive? Why do I need to take notes? I can go on Google, type in something, it'll all be there. That's, it is sad, but that's the way it is. So I think for our own sake, and I think it's too late for any of us, is we need to get on board with that and see how we can use the technology in a positive way rather than just harken back to the good old days when we went to school, walked up the hill 50 miles both ways in the freezing cold and bare feet and all that stuff. Well, yeah, Colleen, but you're special. She can ride a horse. Yeah, I can't, and I don't want to. Thank you. I've been on a horse.
I've been on a horse once or twice.
Horses hate me. They tried to kill me. Yeah. Heidi says the world started going for crap back when they invented the wheel. Yeah, pretty much. It's called advancement in technology, such as it is. And he says, I'll be in demand because if anything happens, I know how to saddle and ride a horse. Yeah. Yeah, but we know that's not going to happen, right? You do realize that the only way we'll end up riding horses is if the apocalypse hits. Like all the movies show, and we can't use the technology anymore. So there you go. So if that happens, yep, Colleen and Andy, you guys are leading the pack.
If there's a big sun flare and all the satellites go out and nobody can use a computer again,
yep,
there's going to be chaos.
So yeah, so those people that know how to do cursive writing, take notes, and ride a horse, you're the survivors. You're going to lead. Derek says he gives entire lectures on advanced science, and no one writes a thing. They rarely even tap away on their laptops. They rely on the recordings. Yep. I know exactly what you're talking about. Lou says, I can spell when handwriting. Not so true when typing. My muscle memory was pre-keyboard. Well, yeah, I get that. Mona says, I actually only use analog watches. If I have to determine a pulse or respiration rate on a patient out in the field, search and rescue, I don't have time to find my phone. Yeah. Oh, Lily's here. Hi, Lily. There they go. They're already planning to get together and ride horses. Writing notes, even if you don't look back at the notes, triggers the brain to remember it. Yeah, it does. I'm not disagreeing with you.
Yeah, we're not disagreeing with you.
But what I'm saying is, the kids won't do it. And you can't make them do it. You can teach them until you're purple in the face. You can use all kinds of fun little strategies for it, and they won't do it. That's what Derek is saying there as well. Yeah, you're right. Reading handouts isn't the same, Anna. And I'm not arguing with you about that. But what I'm telling you, from my experience and 31 years of teaching, okay, I do not just make this stuff
I saw that in business, too. The newer people that came in did not write things down. Yeah. Like, I mean, I was a software developer, and a lot of times to work out problems, I would write it down. But the new people, the younger people, don't do that. Yeah. Teresa says just reading the info on a screen doesn't sink in for me as much as writing notes. Yeah, I agree. If I'm reading something, if I'm doing research, I have another file open on my computer and I make notes from it. I make notes for what we're talking about today and stuff like that. Because if I read something that I want to discuss here or whatever, I need to make notes because I won't remember it if I just read it on a screen. Yes, note-taking is important for memory. But we come from a time period when we were expected to take notes, and we did. These kids don't. And you could say, well, you need to teach them. Yes, some of the kids will buy into that. Most of the kids will just sit there and stare at you. And there's nothing you can do about it. Nothing. Teresa says the chaos hits hard when a cashier can't make change without the register telling him the change.
Like give them 10.05 for a $9.80 charge just to get a quarterback instead of handful of joes. Well, you experienced that not so long ago, didn't you? Where
Yeah, well, yeah. I mean, if you're kids aren't able to handle things like cash bars and stuff like that because they don't know how to make change, and that happens in grocery stores all the time too. If you're paying cash, I don't pay cash anymore, so
yeah. Lucy says I taught biology. Each kid made a revision document for each topic. That was their homework. Could be diagrams, old-fashioned notes, or a spider diagram generated on a computer. Yeah, and that might be one technique that works. And if the kids in your class knew that they had a chance of failing the course, the ones that were taking it seriously, if they didn't do this that you offered them, then they would do it. But did that skill transfer over to higher levels of education or to everyday life? That's where the real crux in. We used to have a term for it called transferable skills. When I was teaching English, we used literature, we used other things, not, when we used Shakespeare, it wasn't to have them memorize, probably you remember you did something called spotting when you were in English class, where you would get a quote from a play, a Shakespearean play, and you had to identify like who the speaker was, what the context of it was, why it was important to the outcome of the play or something like that. We don't do spotting anymore. Haven't done it in years. Why? Because it didn't teach the kids anything except to memorize for a test with it. A transferable skill is where you take an idea, you take a turn of phrase that Shakespeare used or something like that, and ask them, how then does this apply to a real life situation, or does it? Getting them to think about something. They may never remember, the balcony scene from Romeo and Juliet, Romeo, Romeo, wherefore art thou Romeo, and all that stuff, to quote it. But if you put it in a context where it creates a transferable skill that they can apply to another area of life, then it's valued. And so if those kids were taking what you were asking them to do and were able to apply those techniques to another practical application and maintain it, then that's a good thing. But a lot of the kids don't. It's just a means to an end, and I'm going to forget it tomorrow. It's like, I'm going to study for the test so I can get a good, decent mark, and then I'm going to forget all that information afterwards. And that all has to do with the way you develop tests and stuff like that too. And well, that's
it's just like if you get something and it rings up wrong at the cash register and it's really an obvious mistake, the kids don't seem to know. The cash register says it's a price they don't seem to understand. So like, I mean, if you go in and you buy, let's say, a barbecue, and it rings up at the cash as $2.85, they just look at you and say, okay, it's $2.85.
Yeah, they don't know how to do it. Derek says, I still have my notes from university. Can't bring myself to ditch all those handwritten pages that took me hours to get on paper. Students think they are strange, mystical documents. I had all mine too. And I used to take them into my classes and show kids. And the same thing, they didn't know what this was. And I says, this is what I had to do when I went to university. There wasn't any computers. I had to write this stuff out as there's some guy down in the front blabbing at me for 15 minutes going at a rapid rate. And I said, how did you do that? Well, that was something I learned how to do, and I had to do it. And that's the crux. I had to do it in order to survive. They don't have to do that in order to survive. Technology has done other things. Yeah, so Andy says, when I was a trainer, I encountered college student graduates couldn't even write using correct grammar. Oh, well, that's, yeah. I encountered that right here with all of you people. Oh, I know, it's a typing error. Okay, whatever. Teresa says, I think math, quadratic equations, etc. is the only thing that handwritten is easier than computing. Yeah, I don't know. I don't remember anything about quadratic equations. Only that they were a pain in the butt. I took electronic courses as an adult learner. One young man was astonished that my class notes had the date on each page. Yeah, well, we were taught how to do that and expected to it. There was a time you weren't allowed recording devices in lecture. Yep. Yep, I remember that too. As well, but now everybody's got a computer. But anyways, it's the way it's going. It bugs us dinosaurs, because in our day, but guess what? What are these kids going to be saying when they get to our age? In our day, we had computers that only had 2 terabytes of memory. That was never enough to do everything we needed to do. And you kids are complaining today that all you do is you tap your head and it comes up in your eyes. Like whatever. And although that sounds like science fiction, I don't think it is. I don't think it is. But anyways, so that was interesting, but we've hit our time. In fact, we're a little over. We could go on to it. So we'll save other topics for next week that we didn't get to today. So anyways, I hope everybody has a good day. I hope if it's hot where you are, you're not sweating out through your underwear with it too much. And yeah, and if you're an Australian, it's winter, sorry for you. So I guess we're going to say goodbye. Yeah. Happy Pride and all that stuff.
Happy Pride.
And we'll see you guys next week. Talk to you all later.
Yeah.
Bye for now.
Bye-bye.